So today I'm going to be reading the first part of Laurie Halse Anderson's book called Speak. I read this when I was a freshman in high school. I really like this book. It's actually the only book I've ever read twice, so we'll make this 3. And it had a lot of meaning to me when I was a teenager. So it's such a quick book. It's a good book, and gives you lots of feels. So let's start with the first part. It is 198 pages. So since it doesn't actually have chapters, I'm going to probably just bring this down to like about 12 pages per video. So I think that's like 16 videos. Not 16 videos. No. I don't know. I'm going to read about 12 pages per time, just to break it up a little bit so the videos aren't too long. Okay, so just play a little music. And okay, so starting with marking period 1. Welcome to Merriweather High. It is my first morning of high school. I have 7 new notebooks, a skirt I hate, and a stomachache. The school bus wheezes to my corner. The doors open, and I step up. I'm the first pickup of the day. The driver pulls away from the curb while I stand in the aisle. Where to sit? I've never been a backseat waste case. If I sit in the middle, a stranger could sit next to me. If I sit in the front, it'll make me look like a little kid. But I figured it's the best chance I have to make eye contact with one of my friends, if any of them have decided to talk to me yet. The bus picks up students in groups of 4 or 5. As I walk down the aisle, people who were my middle school lab partner or gym buddies glare at me. I close my eyes. This is what I've been dreading. As we leave the last stop, I'm the only person sitting alone. The driver downshifts to drag us over a hill. The engine clanks, which makes the guys in the back holler something obscene. Someone is wearing too much cologne. I try to open my window, but the little latches won't move. The guy behind me unwraps his breakfast and shoots the wrapper at the back of my head. It bounces into my lap. A ho-ho. We pass janitors painting over the sign in front of the high school. School boarders decided that the Merriweather High, home of the Trojans, didn't send a strong abstinence message, so they have transformed us into the Blue Devils. Better the Devils you know than the Trojans you don't, I guess. School colors will stay purple and gray. The board didn't want to spring for new uniforms. Older students are allowed to roam until the bell, but 9th graders are herded into the auditorium. We fall into clans. Jocks, country clubbers, idiot savants, cheerleaders, human waste, Eurotrash, future fascists of America, big-haired chick, the Marthas, suffering artists, thespians, goths, shredders. I am clanless. I wasted the last weeks of April watching bad cartoons. I didn't go to the mall, the lake, or the pool, or answer the phone. I have entered high school with the wrong hair, the wrong clothes, the wrong attitude, and I don't have anyone to sit with. I am an outcast. There is no point looking for my ex-friends. Our clan, the Plain Janes, has splintered and the pieces are being absorbed by rival factions. The cold lounges with the jocks, comparing scars from summer league sports. Ivy floats between the suffering artists on one side of the aisle and the thespians on the other. She has enough personality to travel with 2 packs. Jessica moved to Nevada. No real loss. She was mostly Ivy's friend anyway. The kids behind me laugh so hard I know they're laughing about me. I can't help myself when I turn around. It's Rachel, surrounded by a bunch of kids wearing clothes that most definitely did not come from East Side Mall. Rachel Brune, my ex-best friend. She stares at something above my left ear. Words climb up my throat. This was a girl who suffered through brownies with me, who taught me how to swim, who understood about my parents, who didn't make fun of my bedroom. If there's anyone in the entire galaxy I'm dying to tell what really happened, it's Rachel. My throat burns. Her eyes met mine for a second. I hate you, she mouthed silently. She turns her back to me and laughs with her friends, and I bite my lip. I'm not going to think about it. It was ugly, but it's over, and I'm not going to think about it. My lip bleeds a little. It tastes like metal, and I need to sit down. I stand in the corner aisle of the auditorium, a wounded zebra in the National Geographic special, looking for anyone to sit next to. A predator approaches. Gray jock, buzz cut, whistle around the neck, thicker than his head. Probably a social studies teacher hired to coach a blood sport. Mr. Neck, sit. I grab a seat. Another wounded zebra turns and smiles at me. She's packing at least $5 grand worth of orthodontia, and she has great shoes. I'm Heather from Ohio, she said. I'm new here. Are you? I don't have time to answer. The lights dim and the indoctrination begins. The first 10 lies they tell you in high school. 1. We are here to help you. 2. You will have enough time to get to your class before the bell rings. 3. The dress code will be enforced. 4. No smoking is allowed on school grounds. 5. Our football team will win the championship this year. 6. We expect more of you here. 7. Guidance counselors are always available to listen. 8. Your schedule was created with your needs in mind. 9. Your locker combination is private. 10. These will be the years that you look back on fondly. My first class is biology. I can't find it, and I get my first demerit for wandering the hall. It is 8:50 in the morning, only 699 days and 7 class periods until graduation. Our teachers are the best. My English teacher has no face. She has uncombed stringy hair that droops onto her shoulders. Her hair is black from the parts to her ears and the neon orange to the frizzy ends. I can't decide if she had pissed off her hairdresser or is morphing into a monarch butterfly. I call her Hair Woman. Hair Woman wastes 20 minutes taking attendance because she won't look at us. She keeps her head bent over a desk so her hair flops in front of her face. She spends the rest of the class running on the board and speaking to the flag about our required reading. She wants us to write in our class journals every day, but promises not to read them. I write about how weird she is. We have journals in social studies, too. The school must have gotten a good price on journals. We're studying American history for the 9th time in 9 years. Another review of map skills, 1 week of Native Americans, Christopher Columbus in time for Columbus Day, the Pilgrims in time for Thanksgiving. Every year they say we're going to get right up to the present, but then we get stuck in the Industrial Revolution. We got to World War I in 7th grade. Who knew that there had been a war with the whole world? We need more holidays to keep up with social studies teachers on track. My social studies teacher is Mr. Neck, the same guy who growled at me to sit down in the auditorium. He remembers me fondly. I got my eye on you. Front row. Nice seeing you again, too. I bet he suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder. Vietnam or Iraq. One of those TV wars. Spotlight. I find my locker after social studies. The lock sticks a little, but I open it. I dive into a stream of 4th period lunch students and swim down the hall to the cafeteria. I know enough not to bring lunch on the first day of high school, but there's no way of telling what the acceptable fashion will be. Brown bags, Hello Testaments to Suburbia, or Terminal Geek Gear. Insulated lunch bags, way to save the planet, or sign of the over-involved mother. Buying is the only solution. Gives me time to scan the cafeteria for a friendly face or an inconspicuous corner. Hot lunch is turkey with reconstituted dried mashed potatoes and gravy, a damp green vegetable, and a cookie. I'm not sure how to order anything, so I just slide my tray along and let the lunch drones fill it. This 8-foot senior in front of me somehow gets 3 cheeseburgers, french fries, and 2 ho-hos without saying a word. Some sort of Morse code in his eyes, maybe. Must study this further. I follow the basketball pole into the cafeteria. I see a few friends. People I used to think were my friends, but they look away. Think fast, think fast. There's a new girl, Heather, reading by the window. I could sit across from her, or I could crawl behind a trash can. Or maybe I could dump my lunch straight into the trash and keep moving right out the door. The basketball pole waves to a table of friends, of course, the basketball team. They all swear at him, a bizarre greeting practiced by athletic boys with zits. He smiles and throws a ho-ho. I try to scoot around him. Thwap! A lump of potatoes and gravy hit me square in the center of my chest. All conversation stops as the entire lunchroom gawks. My face is burning into their retinas. I will be forever known as that girl who got nailed with mashed potatoes on the first day. The basketball pole apologizes and says something, but the 400 people explode into laughter and I can't read lips. I ditch my tray and bolt for the door. I motor so fast out of the lunchroom, the track coach would draft me for the varsity team if he was around. But no, Mr. Neck had cafeteria duty, and Mr. Neck had no use for girls who can run the 100 in under 10 seconds unless they're willing to do it while holding a football. Mr. Neck, we meet again. Me. Would he listen to, I need to go home and change, or did you see what that bozo did? Not a chance. I keep my mouth shut. Mr. Neck, where do you think you're going? Me. It's easier to say nothing. It's easier not to say anything. Shut your trap, bite your lip, can it? All that crap you hear on TV about communication expressing your feelings is a lie. Nobody really wants to hear what you have to say. Mr. Neck makes a note in his book. I knew you were trouble the first time I saw you. I've taught here for 24 years, and I can tell what's going on in a kid's head just by looking in their eyes. No more warnings. You've earned a demerit for wandering the halls without a pass. Sanctuary. Art follows lunch, like dream follows nightmare. The classroom is at the far end of the building and has a long south-facing windows. The sun doesn't shine much in Syracuse, so the art room was designed to get every bit of light it can. It is dusty in a clean dirt kind of way. The floor is layered with dirt, with dry splotches of paint, and the walls plastered with sketches of tormented teenagers and fat puppies. The shelves are crowded with clay pots. The radio plays my favorite station. Mr. Freeman is ugly. Big old grasshopper body, like a still walking circus guy. Nose like a credit card sunk between his eyes, but he smiles at us as we file into class. He's hunched over a spinning pot with hands muddy red. Welcome to the only class that will teach you how to survive, he says. Welcome to art. I sit at a table close to his desk. Ivy's in this class. She sits by the door. I keep staring at her, trying to make her look at me. That happens in movies. People can feel when other people are staring at them, and they just have to turn around and say something. Either Ivy's has a great force field, or my laser vision isn't very strong. I know. She won't look back at me. I wish I could sit with her. She knows art. Mr. Freeman turns the wheel and grabs a piece of chalk without washing his hands. Soul, he writes on the board. The clay streaks the word like dry blood. This is where you can find your soul if you dare. Where you can touch that part of you that you've never dared look at before. Do not come here and ask me how to show you how to draw a face. Ask me to help you find the wind. I sneak a peek behind me. The eyebrow telegraph is flashing fast. This guy is weird. He must see it. He must know that we all are thinking. He keeps on talking. He says that we will graduate knowing how to read and write because we'll spend 1,000,000 hours learning how to read and write. I could argue that point. Mr. Freeman, why not spend that time on art? Painting, sculpture, charcoal, pastels, oils. Are words or numbers more important than images? Who decided this? Does algebra move you to tears? Hands raised, thinking he wants answers. Can the plural positive express the feelings in your heart? If you don't learn art now, you will never learn to breathe. There's more. For someone who questions the value of words, he sure uses a lot of them. I tune out for a while and come back when he holds up a huge globe that's missing half of the northern hemisphere. Could anyone tell me what this is? He asks. A globe, ventures a voice in the back. Mr. Freeman rolls his eyes. Was an expressive sculpture that some kid dropped and he had to pay for out of his own money, or they didn't let him graduate? Asked another. Mr. Freeman sighs. No imagination. What are you, 13, 14? You've already let them beat the creativity out of you? This is the globe I used to tell my daughters to kick around my studio when it was too wet to play outside. One day Jenny put her foot right through Texas, and the United States crumbled into the sea, and voila, an idea. This broken ball could be used to express such powerful visions. You could paint a picture of it, with people fleeing from the hole, with a wet-muzzled dog chewing Alaska. The opportunities are endless. It's almost too much, but you are important enough to give it to. Huh? You will each pick a piece of paper out of the globe. He walked around the room so we can all pull out red scraps from the center of the earth. On the paper you will find one word, the name of an object. I hope you like it. You'll spend the rest of your year learning how to turn that object into a piece of art. You will sculpt it. You will sketch it. You will paper mache it. You will carve it. If the computer teacher is talking to me this year, you can use the lab for computer-aided design. But there's a catch. By the end of the year, you must figure out how to make your object say something, express an emotion, speak to every person it looks at. Some people groan. My stomach flutters. Can you really let us do this? It sounds like too much fun. He stops at my table. I plunge my hand in the bottom of the globe and fish out my paper. Tree. Tree? It's too easy. I learned how to draw a tree in 2nd grade. I reached in for another piece of paper. Mr. Freeman shakes his head. He says, you just chose your destiny, and you can't change that. Pulls a bucket of clay from under the pottery roll, breaks off a fist-sized ball, and tosses each one to us. Tosses up the radio and laughs. Welcome to the journey.